Welcome back
Hey.
to another episode of yours truly, Trisha, and I have everyone's favorite guest.
The problem with that what it's called, it should be ours truly.
It should be ours truly, Trisha.
Just saying. Just saying.
Okay, today we are talking about the stages of a romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's the honeymoon phase versus the comfortable phase and everything in between. And I mean, I think we can go through these phases throughout an entire relationship over and over again.
Yeah, it can keep going. Yeah, I think it recycles. I think I'm in constantly in the honeymoon phase.
I didn't pay him to say that, no.
You're in the comfortable phase because you're letting me grow out my mustache.
No, I think it gives him a little bit of an edge.
Before you just like shave that thing off.
No, I think the reason we decided to talk about this is because we've been married for 15 years, and one of the questions we get asked quite often is, how do you guys make it work, and how do you guys keep your relationship going and spicy and
Always smiling and happy.
I guess let's just talk about when you're in a honeymoon phase. And I don't really like calling it that, to be honest, because I think, like I said, you can kind of go in and out of it, out of a honeymoon phase, like,
yeah, I mean,
in different parts of your relationship. Like, I'll speak to one example was, after having babies, you go through a different stage. And I don't want to call it a honeymoon phase, but you're really like engulfed in this, like, that you made this new life together.
Sorry? And how's that a honeymoon phase?
Because you fall more in love with each other, that you've created this like human being, and that's like you fall in love with the person. No, like you look at someone else, and I'm like, oh, I look at him more like now as he's a father, and now
and you see me and I see you like taking care of the baby and like breastfeeding and doing all these motherly things, and then you see me doing all these fatherly things, and then you get heart-shaped eyes.
Yes, and I think that is
I agree.
Honeymoon phase in a different stage of the marriage.
It's a different type of honeymoon, right?
Yeah.
No, for sure.
So there are different stages, and I think for us,
it's like a nurturing love feeling kind of thing. Like, wow, like I definitely married the right person. Like this caring, loving person, and not just like, just like, I don't, whatever. Like people obviously deal with postpartum differently, but like you were a rock star for sure.
Thank you. And then there's chemistry and passion, which I think a lot of people attribute to, being in a honeymoon phase. And again, I think you can look at that from different perspectives when you've been married for 15 years, and you can find passion in everyday things. And that sounds very cliche, but really, it makes me happy to see us being together as a family, and you doing things that I don't have to ask you to do. And, that can create a new type of chemistry and passion in the relationship.
But because we don't do checklists like, oh, I did this, so you should be doing this.
It's not tit for tat.
It's not for tit for tat, and I think that's important in relationships and longevity, right? You're not for tit for tat because you can always try to one up, and if you're trying to one up your significant other, it's a constant battle, and it gets tiring.
And yes, there are lots of times in our marriage where we can go through a comfortable stage, and that's not bad. And I think the problem in today's society is that people they take advantage of that comfortable stage, and then they look at it like, I'm bored or I'm fallen out of love. But maybe looking at it from a different lens and saying, hey, this is amazing to feel comfortable in my home and in my relationship, to not have to worry, to have that security and stability, which I think is so amazing. And a lot of people don't have that, but people do have it, and they think it's a bad thing. So I think
because then you're looking for this other whatever it is to fill your cup when it's already filled, and you're just not seeing it. And it's like it's there. Like you're happy. It's just.
Yeah.
It's just, like you said, it's a different type, and then you have to recognize it. But I think, honestly, I think it comes with maturity because...
And communication.
Exactly.
And we're not always great at it, and we try. And I think one part of that, and if we want to go back to talking about honeymoon phase, is prioritizing each other and, setting time aside for date nights and saying,
Well, that's
hey,
what it is, yeah. To reignite it and like just.
and we need to like reconnect, and that's important. And that's important to us. And I know that's not always realistic for some couples because maybe they don't have help, and we don't necessarily have a ton of help. We have to pay for a babysitter, and we have to ask people for help to get out. But we make that a priority because we think it's so important to get back to that honeymoon phase, or to reignite, to reconnect, and then communicate.
All that helps for sure, for us to have this one-on-one time, right? Yeah. And that one-on-one time is crucial, like these date nights and these little dates, like day dates and stuff, right? That we do.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a night thing. You're right. It could be a day date, and I think it's still, sending each other messages outside of just like to-do lists, which I often do, but sending nice,
thoughtful messages, right?
Sweet messages, and that kind of brings you back to the honeymoon phase. And Emil is really good at making me laugh, which I think has really kept me in a very good state throughout our marriage, 15 years, and that is...
I also keep her fed. She wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for me. I nourish her.
I can still eat, I just don't I eat a lot of chicken breast, rice, and...
So you need salt and pepper and that's it. Not me. Well, whatever.
But yeah, I think it's, it is acknowledging the different stages, finding joy in everyday things, and knowing that, that you come in and out of like honeymoon phases, comfortable stages.
But being comfortable is not bad, and being like a lot of people think comfortable is you're settling and whatnot, and so you want to look for more, and it's like, for what?
But I think it's communicating with your husband about, like, let's explore together. Maybe he's taking up a new hobby. We always talk about things that we'll take up together as a hobby.
When the kids get older,
yeah,
for sure.
And I think it's taking that time to be together.
I'm excited
so
for the next chapter.
It's doing things together and acknowledging that your relationship won't always be this intense, passionate relationship, that it will go through these ups and downs, and it's work. And I think people forget that marriage is work, relationships are work, and we hear the saying all the time, the grass is greener where you water it, and I really believe that, and that you really have to put the work in to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
So on that note, 15 years married, we're still doing it, we're happy.
I've got heart-shaped eyes.
Yeah.
For her. And my kids.
So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.